Hello, welcome back to another episode of Healing Visionaries. Today we have with us Dawn Paul. Dawn is a master shaman of the Andean tradition and has been working worldwide since 2004, helping people from all races, religions, and backgrounds to heal their past so they can go on to create a rich and fulfilled lives of their dreams. Dawn's clients range in age from 7 months to 80 years old, and she believes that no one has to be a victim of their past. She not only clears up past traumas, but also returns people back to wholeness with the shamanic process of power retrieval and soul retrieval. Dawn's book, A Healer of Souls, was published in 2012, and it now has over 50 five-star reviews. Called A Bible for the New Age, Dawn's book helps the reader to understand their life's journey from a different perspective, bringing about great healing and understanding. Dawn can also work completely remotely, for example, zero contact with the client. This enables her to work on babies and small children. She also specializes in assisting children with autism, and she's able to communicate with them on a soul level and relay necessary information to their parents. Wow. Welcome, Dawn. Thank you so much for your time and being with us today on the show.
You're welcome, Cailin. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I love it because you have a slightly different perspective and way of working in shamanism than some of the other speakers on the series. And we'd love to know more about that, your use of how you work in the shamanic world, and do you use guides? And how is the Andean tradition different?
Okay, so in my tradition, the Andean tradition, we have two types of shamans. So the Pampa Masaya, which is the kind of probably 90% of it, which is very kind of earth-based, a plant-based medicine, for example, the shaman in the jungle, making ayahuasca, that sort of thing. But I've always worked on kind of another level, so this is called the level of the Alta Masayok, which is a different way of working. It doesn't really work with earth spirits, it works with much higher spirits, so the holy spirits of the mountains and up. And one of the things that we do is we work on people at night while they sleep before their session. So if you have a session booked on Friday, I'll start working on you on Monday while you sleep.
Before you ever meet or see the person.
Yeah. And basically what that does is it enables, if you imagine, have you ever made pastry from scratch? You have to rub the fat into the flour, and then to get the lumps up, you shake the bowl and all the lumps come up. So if you imagine all people's stuff, we're just sort of bringing it to the surface for the session. Getting them ready for the session. And that is quite funny. They always say, "Oh, I saw you when I was in bed," or "I saw you in my dreams," or
really?
"Standing over me," or something like that. Yeah, it's quite funny. But yeah, that's sort of part of the Altima Sayok route, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful tradition anyway, the Andean tradition, as are all the traditions, because ultimately, they're all the same thing. It all comes from Tibet, and it's all kind of, it's like a sort of a family tree. It's gone down into different areas, and each shaman works with whatever they have around them. So the Andean tradition works with the mountain spirits, to the Andes. Mongolian shaman work with reindeer, lake spirits, that sort of thing, and each to their own. Yes, does that make sense? Yeah.
Right. And so you're working in this realm with the higher spirits. You called it Ultima
Sayok. Yeah.
Is that different, or it's just a different word for the same thing?
I think it's just much high. There's a kind of what's the word, hierarchy of spirit. So it's just everything has a frequency. So if you're working with the spirit of a tree, it's going to have a lower frequency than that of a kind of an archangel or an ascended master or something like that. So, but it's still, a shaman basically works as a conduit between the client, the person, and the spirit. And it just depends on the shaman and the tradition what kind of spirit they work with. Sorry, does that make sense?
Right,
yeah.
Right. And bring back whatever it needs for healing.
That's to do with soul retrieval, the bringing back, which is normally carried out in the lower world, sometimes the upper world. But really, what you have to do is, if somebody, say, has cancer, for example, the doctor would focus on the cancer, yes, but the shaman never focuses on the cancer, completely ignores the cancer, apart from looking at perhaps where it is in the body, because that's sometimes quite telling, yes. But what they'll try and do, if you imagine that, the cancer's like a dandelion in the garden, which is the kind of the symptom of something, rather than just pulling the leaves off and then you get another dandelion, the shaman will trail back down to the very root, to the tip, and go, okay, so what started this? What's created this? Because this is just a cry from the body.
Right. And that's the exact problem with Western medicine.
Because they'll just cut this out, they'll cut this out. But this is still there. And then often people get another dandelion, sadly. So this could be all sorts of things. It could be, it's often with cancer, it's, grief, anger, fear, or, obviously difficult childhoods, soul loss, ancestors, past lives often as well. So you have to get to the root of it and ignore whatever whatever it is, cancer or anything else. You have to ignore the physical symptom and go for the root. And then the body can heal this.
Yeah, right.
Well, the body can heal everything as long as the kind of the emotion and the energy of the issue has been taken away.
Amazing. Yeah. I love how that happens. And the fact that this is possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the body is massively intelligent, and when it creates a problem, it's sort of telling you that there's a deeper problem. It's not the problem that it's showing you. So I had a client once, and they had like an eczema from here to here, all around the fingers and in between the fingers, and they'd had creams and steroids and everything for years and years and years and years. And when we worked, we saw that she'd been a knight in a past life, a jousting knight, and they have to wear gauntlets, which are very rough leather. So underneath it was like muslin and wrapped around the fingers, and that was still there energetically.
Right, causing the eczema from this past life.
So we took that off, and then it just disappeared.
Wow.
Whereas the medical profession put a cream on it and hope it's going to go away, and of course it's not, because the body's trying to tell you about something else.
Yeah, so in that situation, was it something that needed to be cleared from that particular incarnation?
Yeah. She died in that lifetime, so that we had to clear the whole lifetime, and then the healing happened, and the skin was fine.
Amazing. I love those stories. What are some of the biggest blocks to healing? Like why do things happen, and what do they teach us also?
Well, I think that's two questions.
Yeah, that's two. Sorry, let's go ahead.
So the first thing is, why do things happen? And then the second thing is, what are the blocks? I'll just write that down because I'll forget it. Why things happen. So basically, you have to imagine that this is not reality. This is like a bit like the Matrix, it's like a program. So reality is kind of up there, before we incarnate. This is a place where we come and have a body and have an experience, so that we grow and develop as souls. And before we incarnate, we decide what it is that we want to learn. So if we want to learn, say, as a soul, unconditional love, then the likelihood is that we're not going to choose really beautiful, lovely parents.
Yeah? What do you mean? I'm keenly interested in that.
well, we're just not going, because how are we going to learn? If our whole reason for incarnation is to learn unconditional love,
Right.
then if everyone's lovely to us, then
You won't know it.
very easy, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. I think I just had a major realization in my life.
So what people do is, and I put this in my book, that we choose our parents. So in my tradition, the earth is your true mother and the sun is your true father, and they are your true parents, and they're always there for you. And between them, they give you everything that you need to live. Yeah? But your biological parents are there to give you the soul's learning that you wanted to have. So in all likelihood, you'll be given a choice of, well, which parents do you want? And I've actually had clients that remember doing that, choosing the most appalling parents I've ever heard of in my life. And she's told me, oh no, I remember choosing them. I had, really nice couple, or them, and I know that I went for them. So you choose parents that are going to be, abusive in some way, let's say, one of them or both of them. And then it's about you recognizing, because the first thing that the child will do is assume that they're at fault, that they aren't good enough, that they aren't worthy of being loved. So this is why then you go on your healing journey. And normally you only go on your healing journey. I can see the recognition in your face.
I can't believe this is what I've been looking for. Why? Why did I choose them? This is it.
Yeah, absolutely. So normally things happen, don't they, to put you on the healing path. Maybe somebody dies, or you have a massive trauma or massive sickness. People don't tend to just hop onto the spiritual path. They tend to be shoved onto it and try and seek meaning.
Yeah.
So you try and then heal things, and then in that healing, it's about recognizing what the parents have tried to teach you, not because they necessarily hate you. They might on a personal level, let's say, but on a soul level, they're trying to help you get the lessons that you wanted to have on a soul level.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Then if they've been, it's much harder, isn't it, to unconditionally love someone that's been really abusive towards you.
Right.
Formative years, and then really heal that and just let it go, and then go on your journey as if that hadn't happened.
Right.
And that's what to do, because then you've really learned what you wanted to learn as a soul. So obviously I've just used that example, but unconditional love, but it could be self-love, it could be all sorts of things, and it's normally something deep. So really all healing journeys are to do with the soul and the soul's journey and the return to a form of the divine and self-love. And because you can only love others and the world and the animals and everything when you love yourself.
Right.
And when we've had trauma, we tend not to love ourselves, and that to me is the biggest block in healing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what's happened to somebody, no matter how horrendous the story is or how fairly small in comparison the story is, it's how the person deals with themselves and how much they love themselves and how much they allow themselves to create this beautiful life, give permission. Does that make sense?
Yes,
yeah.
Amazingly.
Rather than, because, and that's the challenge I have, and I would imagine everybody else has, in getting them to just drop what's happened. Because what then happens is they're living in victim mode, and that has become their comfort zone. Oh, the poor me, and maybe there's a secondary gain because psychologists say if there's any dysfunctional behavior, so already because there's a gain in it. So they may be like, oh, poor me, and then people are going, oh yes, poor you, and they're getting lots of sympathy, so they're not going to give up the dysfunctional victim behavior, because then they will lose that bit of love that they've received. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and what would it look like when you do give up the victim mode? Because many of us think we have, and maybe we have, but there's still a little bit of that other going on too.
But that's why it's a journey, and it's just, it's about really working on the self-love, because it's little things, isn't it? We don't even realize we're doing it. We might pay for a film on Sky, for example, but our body's going, oh, I'm so tired, I really want to go to bed. And you're going, you will watch this film, I've just paid £5 for it, or whatever it is. And but then if your dog was like, I really want to go into my basket, you wouldn't say, no, you cannot, you will watch this film. Does that make sense? It's like, right. we would be like, that's cruelty, animal cruelty. Yeah.
I see what you mean.
You do things like that, just small things, the chatter that's in our head. Is it like a cheerleading team? Or is it like, you're rubbish, you're useless, oh, you've messed up again, oh, you'll never do that. So people block themselves, people put barriers in their own way. Yeah, but they blame, oh, but it's my mother, oh, it's my father.
And that's that story that
and that's the story
people like to hold on to, right?
But the thing is, this is all story, because this is not reality. So it's about seeing that really we don't exist. This is not real. It's all a kind of a program in which we try to learn these soul lessons, so we don't have to keep coming back here anymore. Because ultimately, that's the goal. As the Buddhists say, this is a place of suffering. Yeah, you're trying to get off the loop. Yeah.
And sometimes we had to come back after such a long time for some reason. Like I can feel I haven't come back in a long, long time, and I'm a bit resentful that I even had to come back.
Yeah, well, I spend most of my time working on with people that I will call star child. It's like, damn it, I'm here and I don't want to be. That's 90% of my client base.
Oh.
Star seeds, star children, whatever you want to call them, because I am one, so I understand, what it's like. But it's traumatic, really, right. Because it's like it's a bit like being in a foreign country where you don't fit in, but you're having to try and live there, and you just want to go home, but actually you can't buy a flight. And we've probably been here, I don't know, 50,000 years, having all these lifetimes. And I think we're getting to the point now where we're kind of like,
yeah,
when we end, when can we go home?
Well, it's morbid, but I think the natural question is, what about suicide?
Yeah, but I think that, as I said before, we've come to learn something, and we can only leave here when we've done what we came to do. So if we commit suicide, then that's fine, we'll be dead to that life, but we'll reincarnate and probably be back in a fortnight, and I have to do it again with additional karma. And I do have lots of people, that are in that position of thinking like that, but actually what the soul is craving is the shamanic work, because the shamanic work is about death and rebirth, but in a lifetime. So you're killing off old Cailin, let's say, and while you're killing her off, you're also building the new one, and then as soon as the new one's full enough, you get rid of this one and you get into this one without shifting the body.
Right.
But you see that, as you said, the biggest block to that is, oh, do I deserve this new beautiful life? So people will stay in old Cailin, if that makes sense.
Right,
yeah?
Right.
Yeah. And that's the challenge, to get them to go, well, no, you can have this, because they're so attached to actually, well, who I am, who will I be without all this crap, basically, because I won't actually know me. You take that story away, that trauma away, and who will I be? So most of my work is building this new world, because people cannot move, actually. So the shaman's role is to create the space, the healed space, for the person to step into. So that's a new Cailin in your instance, because we can't kill off old Cailin. Where would you be then?
Right.
Make this new one.
space for yourself is,
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people work together, you know, different shamans work together also. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes you need another shaman to do that, open the space,
Yeah.
right? Or no.
You know, I mean, I think as a shaman or any type of healer, it's essential that you continue your personal work. I mean, I mentioned to a client once that, you know, I have a friend and we swapped, you know, shamanic sessions, and she was like, you shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. And I was like, no, I absolutely should, because I work as a spiritual teacher as well. So the thing is that if you imagine, say, to make it easy, like a block of flats or an apartment building, you know, high rise, skyscraper type of thing. So if our job is to go up in vibration, yes, and we do that by healing. If you imagine that our issues are like sandbags that stop that, you know, balloon or lift going up. So as we heal and we heal, we go higher and higher and higher. But as a healer or a shaman, same thing. If you're on, say, level 16, floor 16, you can only get your clients to level 16. You can't get your clients to level 18, 20, 30, 40.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's our responsibility as a healer to carry on our healing work. So we get to levels 22, 25, 30. Yeah. So we can take our clients higher and higher and higher. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you have great analogies.
Yeah.
A lot of this is really coming to light.
I'm glad you're benefiting from it.
We all understand these concepts sort of ephemerally, but this just adds a little bit more clarity, which is great.
Well, this is why I do the spiritual teaching work as well for clients, because, you know, you can do 100 soul retrievals unless people understand why things are happening to them, how they're meant to deal with them, how that we all have a choice, you know, because the Buddha said, you know, if this is you, then things will come to you, you know, situations, problems, traumas, yeah, because that's life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? But what we do is we have like almost a preconditioned response to kind of go, ah, and you know, react and fall over.
Yep.
Yeah. So what the Buddha says is in the split second here, yeah, we have a choice as to how to react. We could go back into our old programming, which is and falling over, or we could go, oh, interesting, how shall I deal with this? So let's say if we lose a job, for example, you know, oh my God, I'm going to lose my house, going to lose my mortgage, and oh my God, and my children, and all of that sort of thing, you know, which is obviously, you know, is a concern. But if we allow those fears to subsume us, then we are going to attract more negativity and not another job or another career. So it's about taking a moment to kind of go, oh, well, I could react like this, but I will look at this as an opportunity. You know, maybe I've grown out of that job. Maybe it's time for me to do something different. Maybe it's time for me to retrain, or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. And the more positive, and the more positive we can stay, and the more we can stay out of the limbic brain, the ego mind, which is our biggest enemy, then the more we can attract positive outcomes and miracles.
Right.
Yeah. Because everything is to do with frequency, like the high rise, you know. The more we raise our frequency, the more miracles and good things can come. When it's down here, so after a certain level, let's say for ease, after, you know, level 10 and below, that's when disease can come and energetic problems and all of that sort of thing. Does that make sense? So it's about literally pulling ourselves up and lifting the frequency out. And that's really what you do as a healer. You're taking the person vibrationally out of resonance with, say, cancer, so that they're vibrating more highly, and then it can't exist in the body as a frequency.
Yeah. That's why I love this topic, because once you really start doing it and you honestly really, really want that other life and, you know, working and functioning at higher levels.
Yeah.
It's so much more amazing and, you know,
Yeah.
terrific. But then, you know, sometimes I notice out in the world, there's so many people who are doing what you just said about, I'm just staying positive and nothing negative can touch me. And, you know, but it's this, I'm just speaking off the top of my head now, but do you know what I mean? There's this, but it seems so fake.
Yeah, but the thing is, at least they're doing it.
Okay.
At least they're doing it. At least they're not like, oh, I lost my job, I'm a failure, and all that sort of thing, and putting everybody else around them on a downer, you know.
Right.
And the thing is, people go, oh well, you know, it doesn't work because I've tried it, and I did positive affirmations and it didn't work.
Right.
But it's about all of you has to be in alignment with what you want. So so let's say, for example, somebody wants to have a child and they can't get pregnant, and they're going, yes, you know, consciously, yes, I'll be a mother, yes, I'll be a good mother, yes, I can have a baby, all of that sort of thing. If, say, there's a past life or a subconscious belief that it's not safe to have a baby, maybe they died in childbirth before in a past life, then the body will not allow them to have a baby. So you have to heal. So you can do all the affirmations you want, yeah, but if there's something deeper, you have to clear that. It could be on a soul level, could even be an ancestors level. Yeah, that had 12 kids and couldn't feed any of them and starved to death, and you know, so they might be stopping you from having children, not to harm you, but thinking that they're helping, the same as a past life.
Right.
They're not vengeful. They're like, oh, better stop her from doing that. And a lot of the time with past lives, I see all the time, is when somebody really wants to come and step up and be seen in life and be successful, and or maybe go into healing arts, and then because there's probably past lives where they've come a cropper, you know, that because often a lot of star children particularly have been drawn into healing arts, yeah, and they have been persecuted throughout time. The witches, the seers, the prophets, that sort of thing. So that past life aspect of them, if unhealed, will block them from moving into that. So I've got lots of people that give up, say, corporate jobs to go into healing arts, and they go, oh, it won't work, I can't do it, I've no clients, and you know, and it's that. So we have to heal it on that level.
That's interesting. I've secretly wondered why so many come from the corporate world into this.
Yeah.
Disjointed from. Maybe that's it. So they stopped ignoring and followed what they knew they needed to do.
Follow their hearts, yeah, rather than bank accounts.
Right.
But you know, there can be you know, bits that stop you. You know, this is like, you know, you in this lifetime, this is like the earth, and then there's all these bits underneath, you know, ancestral bits, past life bits, even soul loss bits. Have to get it all healed so you can move on. So really, this is why we're here. We're here to do our healing work. And I am not a Buddhist, but I do teach, you know, vaguely Buddhist principles, general spiritual principles, because so people can understand. Because the point of being a good healer is that you're empowering people. So if they have another, you know, event, they don't, you know, they're just not straight on the phone, oh my God, Dawn, and, you know, I need you. They're like, oh, okay, so what could this be? And why has this come? And let me think about it and not react and stay grounded and all of that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're empowering them and giving them the tools for life that they can use, because nobody should be dependent on a healer.
Mm-hmm. Right. Or even if you're using coaches, so many people today are doing coaching, you know, you can't just call up that person in the panic.
No. Well, I think coaching's different. Coaching's to help you, or coaching should be to help you achieve a goal. So,
not your personal therapist.
No, and they're not going to, the purpose of a coach is they don't tell you anything. They just ask you questions. If it's like, oh, well, I want to achieve this, it's like, well, how are you going to do it? And when you're going to do it? And what will that look like? And all of those sorts of things. And they're not there to give advice per se. They're just there for you to be accountable, really. So I think for me, it's when you give people the principles, and it's so good when they kind of go, oh, this happened, and then I thought about what you said, and I realized it was a test, and I dealt with it like this instead of like that, and they're so happy because they've done it themselves. It's like the difference between giving a man a fish and teaching a man to fish, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, we're almost out of time, and I know you wanted to do a guided exercise, but there was one more point I wanted to touch on that came up before, in the different states of perception.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Markers in our life.
Okay. Well, we have, in my tradition, we have this Andean sculpture. So we've got, I don't know if you can see, we've got a serpent here.
Oh, yes.
And then a jaguar.
Yeah.
And then an eagle. So the snake, obviously close to the ground, is about base needs, the ego, mind, and fear, which is where a lot of the time we reside, but also things like, water, food, shelter, sex, all these things. And so most people, though, live here in this emotional place. He did this, she did this, I said this, I want this. Really, and so, but the goal is spiritually is to move from this to this, but get into this, and this is the condor, eagle, and in reality it would be up here. So if you imagine the serpent and the jaguar walking on the earth, they can see the bushes and the trees, but they can't really see the bigger picture like the eagle does. Right. So the eagle represents the soul. So something happens to you, let's say someone's sexually abused, they can be in here fear, in here emotion, but if they look at it from here, it's about, well, what would I have wanted to have learned? Yes, and how is this actually helping me, and what happened in the past with this person, and where is it getting me to? And so you're removing yourself from this happened to me and I'm useless, and you're coming into the soul perspective, seeing the bigger picture and looking at resolving it and healing it, and then going on to live your best life. It's probably not the best analogy off the top of my head, but does that make sense?
Sure.
About, like we were talking, not these parents, she said this and he did this and he hit me, but rather, why did I choose them? What have they taught me? And how do I heal that, and how do I move on from that, and love them unconditionally and forgive them? So for all of us, it's about trying to get up here, and out of here, and that's the constant choice. And that's really, the difference between, this is what the Buddha says, looking at the bigger picture. Choose from here how you're going to react to something, not from here emotionally react. You say something to me and I'm like, oh, so if you insulted me now, I would probably, because that's the knee-jerk reaction, go, oh, but then I would hope that I would catch myself and take myself away and go, why did she say that? What is she projecting at me? Do I feel that? Do I believe that? And recognize that it's not you, it's me. Everything comes from us. Everyone's going, all the clients, so she did this and he did this. But if you imagine they are the cinema screen and we are the projector with the film in. So if you don't like the film at a cinema, you can't erase the film on the screen. You have to edit the film.
Oh.
Do you see? So everything on the outside, other people, jobs, the world, politics, environment, everything is a state of in here. Everything is a reflection.
The film.
So you edit the film, and this has to change.
You got to go inside and edit the film. Yeah.
Yeah, edit the film.
If you wanted to play something else on the
I say to clients, it's like a mirror world. Okay, he did this and she's done this again. I go, well, come in here and let's see what's going on. It's a mirror world. If you don't like something out here, you look in here. And these people,
isn't it when the people say some insulting thing where we feel hurt and need to, you know, give something back to them for whatever comment they made, isn't that also like a mirror? You know, they're mirroring what we need to see.
Well, they're often mirroring what we can't see. Yes. Let's say if you have a job and you don't think you're very good at your job, underneath maybe you feel like a big fake, and somebody comes along, oh, you're rubbish, you've not done this properly, and then you're really affronted. And whenever we call it shadow work, projections, so there's always a huge emotional charge and an energetic charge as well, and you go home and you're like, how dare they? Yes. But whenever there's something like that, whatever it is, it's a clue, you know, for you to kind of go, oh, but actually, how do I feel, and why have they triggered this in me? And the best people to do that are our mothers, because they made the buttons and then they pushed them. There's a case of like removing the buttons, you know, through healing, because I held that energetically.
But let's just say you are at work and this situation comes up. Somebody just says some hugely derogatory thing or insulting, whatever, and you go up into the big picture, eagle life. What am I going to choose? How to react? Do you let, you know, work with it internally and never say anything outside to them?
Well, you could say,
do you address them?
Thank you for your opinion, because at the end of the day, it is their opinion. But normally, if it has that charge, normally it's something to do with something you've got going on, something that you're not recognizing. And so then it's about, you know, going up and going, well, you know, what is that? So it's not about, you know, why did they say that to, I mean, an example, I've got a guy at the moment who's saying that this man at work has bullied him for 30 years. And he's going, I'm going to do this to him and this to him and this to him. And he's got this big revenge scenario plan. And I said to him, but that's not the issue. I said, the issue is, why have you attracted that to yourself?
Yes.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Because the revenge of the bullying isn't going to help the man, actually, because he's going to still be stuck with all of his inner pain. He needs to, and then if let's say he leaves job, he'll go and get another job, and he'll find very quickly he's got the same scenario. And people do this all the time.
Yeah.
And then I don't believe it. I thought this person was nice, and now they're being like, that idiot. Yeah. But it's because you've got the same projection, and people pick up on it. So when you heal that projection, whatever it is, you know, and this is why, again, lack of self-love is the biggest issue. Because people say to me, and she said this, and she said that, and she said the other, and this, you know, and I was so upset. And I go, well, actually, how do you treat you? How do you nurture you? How do you cherish you? And they realize that they treat themselves worse than this person. And this is why self-love is so important, because if you don't have it, you can't expect to get it from what is effectively a mirror world. You know, because you're standing in the mirror in a blue suit, you're not going to see yourself in a pink suit.
That's it.
So the change has to happen here. And then what happens normally is when we do this work and we heal it, then people say, oh, that's funny, he got promoted and he got moved to another office, or he's left, he's got another job, or he's retired, or he's gone on a year's sabbatical or maternity leave, or whatever it is. They just go, the people go, because you don't need that projection anymore, because you've healed it. So if you see that the outside world, it's always actually trying to heal you, but what we do is, because we come into like fear states and emotional states, We see it as something that's trying to hurt us when things happen.
Oh, right. But it's actually teaching us the lesson, helping us heal whatever.
Yeah, because things don't come if you don't need them to come. Does that make sense?
Yeah, things don't come if you don't need them to come.
No. And if they come, it's like, okay, I must need this on some level. What can I learn from it? And the best thing is just to go and, see a healer and work through it. Because it could be often in work situations that you could be treated like, your mother treated you or your father treated you. Mm-hmm. And then, so it's not actually the work situation that needs healing, it's the child situation. So you'd work with the inner child, or maybe even a past life, to clear these problems with power and authority.
Right. Oh, I love it. These are such great nuggets for life.
Well, that's what I believe in. Yeah, do the shamanic work, do the healing work, but give people the understanding so that they can see that they're actually in a world that is actually trying to help them go on their journeys.
Mm-hmm. And we hear a lot of these snippets, but they're kind of cliche. You've taken it deeper, like the mirror reality and actually why we need this.
Yeah. And in my book I put, I find the only sentence we need is everything is in divine and perfect order always. And it's very hard when something happens, something awful happens, to go, this is in divine and perfect order. But it's about coming into this place, which is about trust and faith. And you might not realize it for 10 years. I have clients at the moment that are losing their business and their property, and I'm saying, I know that you are going to look back in a few years' time and go, this actually was the best thing that ever happened to us.
Although it doesn't feel that way now because
but they don't feel it now because they're in it. They're in the fear and they're in the emotion of it, rather than the trusting and the faith of it. Yeah. And that's the difference. And I said, well, how do you really feel about that? Oh, awful things have happened here. And terrible. I said, well, isn't it good that it's going then? But people, this is the hardest thing, the biggest block, people hold on to things.
Yeah.
And, it really is about having to let go. And the more you let go of, and this is how the Buddha becomes so peaceful, because not attached to anything, and this, you'll say like suffering is attachment. So if I hold on to my man, and he doesn't want to be with me, then it's going to get very dodgy. If I let him go and let him be and let him do what he wants, then you're going to have a better relationship. And if he does want to go, it's about going, well, thank you for the time that we had.
Right.
Blessings on your journey.
Yeah.
But we don't do that because we don't love ourselves. So we don't love ourselves, and we've got a big hole here. Yeah. So we need to get him or her to fill that up.
Yeah.
And that's why we start checking their phones and, oh my God, what's he up to? Where is he? Yeah, because it's like, if he goes, my love goes. But if you love yourself, they are like icing on your cake. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you don't need them constantly to... You
don't need them at all, actually. In reality, you don't need them at all. It's nice to have them, but you shouldn't need them. And if you're in a situation where I need him, and all these songs, on the radio, if you leave me, I'll die, that's rubbish. That's just like showing
the music really messes it up.
You want to have a go at we talked about a grounding and centering exercise.
Yeah, you were saying how really important it is, the grounding exercise, that people, we hear that all the time, but it really is that important.
Yeah, really. So lots of time when we're very busy head, it's because if you imagine that we're cut off, ungrounded, and like a balloon floating, and so the earth actually drains that busyness. Yeah. And we also, this is the grounding point, is when we can create from. So people go, oh, I'm stuck, and because they're stuck because they're floating around here, and they need to be in here to move forward and be in the present moment. So shall we have a go, and then maybe you can see how it feels in your body?
Definitely. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Right, time to stand up. Can you stand up? Would that be okay?
Okay. And I'm just going to put myself on mute so everybody can hear you better.
Okay. Yeah. That's it. So if you sort of stand with your legs splayed a little bit, so you're really, really solid, yes? That's it. And then just close your eyes and just find a nice central position. And then imagine about 6 feet above your head, there's a huge bowl of golden, heavy golden liquid, like a divine syrup, if you like. And this syrup is tilting and pouring down now like a column of heavy golden light all the way down towards your crown chakra. And as it reaches your crown chakra, that opens like a flower and allows this liquid to move through your head, through your throat, through the heart chakra, down towards tummy, down towards the lower tummy, and then making a big pool at the base chakra. And from that pool, we're going to have 2 chutes opening and going down each leg. So this heavy golden liquid's going down each leg to the knee, rolling down the lower legs to the feet. And we have little chakras in the soles of our feet. So we're going to imagine them opening now. And this golden light now is going to stream out of our feet and push into the earth, making a V, a point in the earth as they meet. And then we're going to move back up to the base chakra, to the pool of heavy golden light. And that's going to pour out of the base chakra, down between the legs, past the lower legs, into the earth, and moving down in the earth towards the point. So now you've got the 3 points in one. And then that heavy golden light is going to bore itself down into the earth. So down past all of the tree roots and stones. Further still, past all the different layers of rock and mineral, all the way down, faster and faster, boring its way down to where the earth starts to get warm and then hot as you reach the core, and then curl that cord around the core of the earth so you're anchored to the earth. So this is you grounded. And now I want you to find where you are. So there's your body, and then there's a you, the thinking you, that should be in your body, but sometimes it's in your head or even above your head, floating around somewhere. So find where you are. If it's not in your body, invite that part of you into your body and just reassure it, it's safe for you to be here. You are the eternal part of me. You cannot be harmed. So imagine that spirit you, that misty you, coming in and filling in your body. So now your body is grounded, connected to the earth and centered. You should be in it. So see how that feels now in your body. And let me know, Cailin.
Yeah, I love that. I really was not in my body at all.
Mm. And how does your body feel? How do your feet feel and your legs?
I strong.
Mm. When I do my
really
feet start to feel like fat and spreading, you know, my legs feel like really, really heavy. So this is grounding and centering, and this is how we should be all the time. And this is how we need to kind of set ourselves in the morning. Some people are naturally grounded and centered. Star children are not, because we're connected up there, we're not connected down here, you know. So it's always important. And then you can, you know, be easier, your mind can be clearer. Don't know if you felt as you grounded, your mind became clearer, the chatter dies down.
Yes.
Yeah. Good exercise.
Helpful. Oh, I love it talking with you, Dawn. It really makes sense. You know, just a little bit different angle, but you know, we need to hear things in several different ways, and it starts to click together.
And I think there's all these spiritual principles, and people spout them.
Right.
You know, like, you know, when Jesus was saying, you know, turn the other cheek, and he wasn't saying that, you know, be like some sort of sad victim and just let people do what they want. It was in recognition of the fact that this has nothing to do with them and everything to do with you. You know, so when you can get that understanding of the spiritual principles and apply them, that's when you can start to progress.
Yeah. Thank you, Dawn, so much for being with us today. And we'll leave it on that note.
All right, my darling. Thank you so much. Thank you.